Hello everyone, I am Onkar Dikshit, working as an assistant professor in Mechanical Engineering Department in Dnayan Shri Institute of Engineering and Technology, Satara. Today I am presenting a topic which comes under environmental awareness, and topic is the CO2 footprint of the lithium-ion battery. Over the last 10 years, the lithium-ion battery has gone from an enabling technology for mobile electronics to play an important role in the world's decarbonization and reduction of greenhouse gases, GHG. This is brief about week 1 video details and week 2 video details, which was uploaded on YouTube. After learning through this video, 1 overview of lithium-ion battery standards. 2 metrics for CO2 footprint from lithium-ion batteries. 3 carbon footprint analysis of lithium-ion battery. 4 GHG emissions reduction potential of different battery components. Lithium-ion battery standards. The lithium-ion battery standards are considered as below: ISO NP-PAS 16898. The vehicle traction battery system, as a large and very costly component of an electrically propelled vehicle, has a huge influence on the vehicle design. Depending on vehicle dimensions and package constraints, the shape of battery packs and systems should follow a top-down procedure. Full stop. Therefore, ISO NP-PAS 16898 was developed to focus on electrically propelled road vehicles' battery system design. This standard check for the requirements on dimensions for lithium-ion cells for vehicle propulsion. ISO 12405. ISO 12405 specifies test procedures for lithium-ion battery packs and systems to be used in electrically propelled road vehicles. The specified test procedures enable the user of this part of ISO 12405 to determine the essential characteristics of performance, reliability, and abuse of lithium-ion battery packs and systems. Therefore, the objective of ISO 12405 is to specify standard test procedures for the basic characteristics of performance, reliability, and abuse of lithium-ion battery packs and systems. ISO 12405 consists of the following parts, under the general title Electrically Propelled Road Vehicles. Test specification for lithium-ion traction battery packs and systems. Part 1. High power applications. This part of ISO 12405 specifies test procedures for lithium-ion battery packs and systems to be used in electrically propelled road vehicles. The specified test procedures enable the user of this part of ISO 12405 to determine the essential characteristics of performance, reliability, and abuse of lithium-ion battery packs and systems. The user is also supported to compare the test results achieved for different battery packs or systems. Part 2. High energy applications. This part specifies the tests for high-energy battery packs and systems. Part 3. Test specification for lithium-ion traction battery packs and systems. Safety performance requirements. This standard specifies test procedures for lithium-ion battery packs and systems to be used in electrically propelled road vehicles. The specified test procedures enable the user of this standard to determine the essential characteristics of the safety performance of lithium-ion battery packs and systems. IEC 62660. This standard is to specify performance testing for automobile traction lithium-ion cells and batteries. Batteries that basically differ from the other batteries, including those for portable and stationary applications specified by the other IEC standards. The purpose of this standard is to provide a basic test methodology with general versatility, which serves a function in common primary testing of lithium-ion cells to be used in a variety of battery systems. It includes 2 parts: IEC 62660-1 and IEC 62660-2, and it is associated with ISO 12405-1 and ISO 12404-2. IEC 62660-1. This part of IEC 62660 specifies performance and life testing of secondary lithium-ion cells used for propulsion of electric vehicles, including battery electric vehicles, BEV, and hybrid electric vehicles, HEV. OIEC 62662 specifies the reliability and abuse testing for lithium-ion cells for electric vehicle application. Metrics for CO2 footprint from lithium-ion batteries. Although the research available today shows large differences in how to measure and evaluate the embedded climate impact of lithium-ion batteries, there is an unanimous view of which main variables to use, which primarily are two. First, cumulative energy demand, CED. With this metric we get an understanding of how much energy that has been used to produce the battery, no matter what the energy source is. Depending on the boundaries, it may include all energy used to produce the battery, from raw material extraction to the final assembly of the battery or any range within. When measured per unit, this is the metric a company in the value chain can alternate by changing its process or operation, regardless of what energy source it is using. In order to analyze the actual climate impact, the metric is limited if not combined without information about the energy source, but even as an independent number it can be used in comparison with, for instance, other power sources if used per unit. Second, amount of GHG or CO2 emissions, CO2e. This is what really matters when analyzing the climate effect of the batteries. However, the metric is only marginally interesting if not combined with the said. For example, in a market where the amount of non-fossil energy is limited, a company which achieves close to zero amount of CO2 emissions by, for instance, buying green energy from the grid, will only move the consumption of fossil fuel to somebody else on the grid, although the allocation of funds to renewable energy enable its long-term growth. However, in the short term it is important to use energy efficiently even if the energy source is clean. Carbon footprint analysis of lithium-ion battery. Here we see carbon footprint analysis steps of lithium-ion battery in industry. The PEFCR study stipulates that lithium-ion batteries can be expected to have around 400 cycles. That means the battery can be fully charged and discharged 400 times before the battery capacity drops to an unacceptable level, defined as 60%. Because this capacity declines over time, the PEFCR study said the minimum energy provided over life can be calculated as 400 times the average capacity per cycle, 80% of initial energy. The PEFCR study provides us the basis for estimating the carbon footprint contribution from the lithium-ion batteries. The Hornsdale battery storage system has a total generation capacity of 100 megawatts and 129 megawatt-hours (MWH) of energy storage. Over 400 cycles of charge and discharge, at 80% of initial energy, that amounts to 41.3 gigawatt-hours (GWH). At 96% battery efficiency, that means 43 GWH of wind power must be generated for the battery to supply this much energy. The life cycle GHG emissions associated with electricity production have been estimated by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL. For onshore wind power like the Hornsdale Wind Farm, there are an estimated 30 grams CO2 a kWh GHG emissions. A gigawatt is a million times larger than a kilowatt, so for 43 GWH, this becomes 1.3 million kilograms of carbon dioxide for just the wind generation piece during the 400 cycles of the battery's lifetime. The batteries add to this footprint. For 129 MWH of battery storage, which is 129,000 kWh, and a total battery carbon footprint of 100 kilograms CO2 a kWh. This adds another 12.9 million kilograms of carbon dioxide to the carbon footprint of the wind farm. In other words, based on 400 cycles, the total carbon footprint associated with the electricity utilizing the battery storage into this wind farm is 1.3 million plus 12.9 million equals 14.2 million kilograms of carbon dioxide divided by 43 GWH of electricity, or 330 grams CO2 a kWh GHG emissions. That's 11 times the carbon footprint of wind power without storage, but still well below the 970 grams CO2 a kWh GHG emissions associated with coal-fired power. Thus, The batteries themselves over their lifetime have an associated carbon emission profile of 300 grams CO2 a kWh GHG emissions using the PEFCR assumptions. We have explored the GHG emissions reduction potential of all battery components. In figure, different colors of circles refer to different battery components and their sizes according to their respective mass fractions. While the transverse coordinates stand for the GHG emissions of a unit of mass of the battery component, rising from left to right, the horizontal coordinates signify the proportion of GHG emissions due to electricity consumption of each component, rising from bottom to top. The bigger the circle and the further the position is toward the upper right, the higher the component's GHG emissions reduction potential. It is obvious that wrought aluminum has the highest potential of GHG emissions reduction. Though positioned at the upper right, the Battery Management System (BMS) and LiPF6 account for a small mass fraction. Though showing a rather high level of GHG emissions, the three anode active materials currently carry a low potential for GHG emissions reduction due to the limited GHG emissions during the manufacturing. As lithium-ion batteries have been widely used in the EV industry only in recent years, studies on GHG emissions during the battery manufacturing process vary greatly. The comparison is intuitively shown in figure. The difference in such studies primarily comes from the uncertainty of the battery structure and the GHG emissions in the assembly process. While the difference of physical batteries and battery models is inevitable in different studies, only the gradually improving battery standardization can reduce this uncertainty. The difference in research findings due to different production processes and channels of data acquisition during the battery cell production and assembly process is also worth deeper exploration in the future.